session. My name is Shreya. I'm a youth climate justice activist from Nepal. I've been working in climate change since the last 7 years. I've been engaged with the Stones of Institute since 2021. And me and Kevin, we are few of the young people who are featured in the book Stones for a Sustainable World, Life-Changing Stories of Young Heroes, which is written by Marian Nan. And in this session, we wanted to know more on what young people and what ministers and what leaders has been doing in different parts of the world. And if we see the current momentum, we have seen that young people are increasingly rallying behind the call for quality climate education. So when we talk about climate change, of course we need to take action, but before action, we need to have the knowledge of what is happening.
My work specifically in Los Angeles has really been around youth representation and getting young people within government. So I started the first ever youth climate councils for my mayor, Eric Garcetti, on climate action, and then began working with C40 to start their global youth forum, then led into me starting the first ever youth climate commission that became the first one in the world, first one in the nation. And I now sit as the chair of the Youth Climate Commission of Illai County. So it's really important to really engage young people within the governmental process and policy-making spaces, because they are the ones not only coming up with the solutions, but also being the ones directly impacted by this crisis. When we talk about climate education, we're not only talking about how we're educating our young people to be aware of the issue, we're also educating them in the ways of which to solve this issue, and it ties to climate education being, the key factor of not only educating our young people on what is going on, but how they can take action within their communities.
So as you mentioned, I am Illai Kenney. I'm the managing director of the HBC Green Fund. As you can see, I'm based in Washington, D.C. Our organization has offices in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as in Dakar, Senegal. So I, as you mentioned, co-founded my first nonprofit at age 13, working on local environmental issues because I recognized how they were impacting us, but we weren't educated about them. We were feeling all the effects, but didn't quite have any means to push back against that, and didn't necessarily feel like there was a voice for us, or resources for us to do that. So in our work as the HBC Green Fund, we have a fellows program where we take current undergraduate students and we educate them on core sustainability and climate related topics. So they learn how to do solar energy installations. They know how to collect data for energy audits, because these are the key pieces we'll need to understand where we need to go. And these are the people who need to have that information.
And so climate education also, what I'm also doing is also trying to create educational materials, and as well also trying to educate young people. Because I believe that if you don't know that the problem exists, you can't solve it. One of the projects I had with a Catalana-based organization in Barcelona was to create a curriculum on climate change and ecofeminism in Africa. So this curriculum helps young people to understand the reality of climate change, because Africa bears the brunt of this crisis. And so for we to be able to solve the crisis, we also have to come from the perspective of climate education, which is not yet in our curriculum. And so as ministers, we are urging that we should have this in our curriculum so that we could start building up generations that could be climate smart and that could understand what the climate crisis really means.
It's really a pleasure to hear what everyone has been doing in different parts of the world. It really reminds me that I'm not alone in Nepal. There are other people in different parts of the world who is doing similar work, so that gives me inspiration and hope. So I'm also a part of the mock-up campaign. And in COP26, what we did was we organized the first ever Education and Environment Minister Summit together with UK, Italy government. Because in most of the cases, even though they are doing similar work, their work is very disconnected. And for young people like us who has no resources, very few, knowledge and time, it's very hard for us to connect with both of them. Therefore, we try to bring them together.
We just wanted to say thank you. And as we're leaving, I would be remiss if we don't think about one action that each one of us can take to support climate education in our countries, in our communities. But what can we do now? Because the children today need climate education every day, more than ever. And especially in the countries that the ministers have been speaking about who are on the front lines of climate change.